Hey, it's me, Earl, and tonight we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be using my kweld battery spot welder to make a 18 cell Lion pack. Um, this is probably going to end up going on my 10-inch quadcopter, but in the meantime, I'll probably use it just for like a field pack to charge my smaller like 4 and 6S packs. Um, when I'm literally in a field. So anyways, I figured why not show it? So yeah, so I got the K-Weld kit. I've got it wired up here to do 3S in parallel, and I've got these I don't have the capacitor kit for this guy, but I have two of these kind of cheap lipos. 3S lipos. So both of these will be hooked into it. And we'll see how many welds I get off of these. I've never actually tried this before. So I bought this guy and put him together last year. And then I just never got around to it. I always meant to do a couple different packs. So we're going to make it happen. But anyways, these are Samsung 50S Lions, so they're the 5000 mAh, 25 max amp draw each, but since I'm doing a parallel 3 pack, they can do a 75 total draw, so they'll be good for my quads with that. These cells would probably not work for much, maybe an airplane, because they're it's a good capacity, but the amp draw is kind of low. So probably don't use these for smaller ones. But I have some other cells. The Molicel 45Bs, I believe they're called, are pretty cool. They're 4500 mAh, but they can do 45 amps, which is pretty amazing, actually. Those are very cool cells. I got a couple of those. I was going to do a 4S P1 for my little 4-inch at some point, so maybe I'll make a video of that at some point. But anyways, so 3D printing is great and all, but when you can get injection molded plastic that just fits together for a couple bucks, this is a way nicer solution. So you just literally clip these things together, you put your cells in here, clamps them down, holds them nice, and I don't have to fiddle with 3D printing something or too much glue. I'll probably put a little bit of glue on this, but it's gonna be pretty small. So yeah, you get the sheet of insulator caps, you put them on the positives, and that's just when you put your strips across, you just are trying to keep from wearing through, where it's heat shrinked here. I don't think this pack is going to have a problem because it's going to be pretty sturdy because of this plastic holding it. Like, this is this ain't going to really be moving. But I've seen some pretty shoddily made, especially FPV packs for quadcopters, where these people are building these things, and I'm not saying that I've done this before, but I know better than to do what they're doing. So they're taking their quads into their own hands, I guess, with these kind of shoddy deals. So anyways, I'm gonna film myself putting this together, and if you want to follow along, feel free. A thing I'm going to mention here before I forget, I was just thinking about it, is before you get down and you start start soldering these together, make sure you voltage match them. I have this guy, I think it was pretty cheap off Amazon. It was like $40 or something. And I've tested with my multimeter. It is actually pretty accurate. So with this guy, I can balance the voltage on 8 at a time. And the reason I've taken so long to actually build my own pack is I've been using these guys. They're just like from AliExpress, and it's basically you get a little PCB on top, and you can do some charger ports, and it has an actual active balancer in it. But you just, you know, you just clip the cells in here, and I don't have to do any soldering. So I've been running around the fields for a couple years with these little guys, and they're kind of cool. The little boards here, I think they're actually Texas Instrument boards, and they come with all sorts of interesting things like flashlights, and you got little, you know, LED things. This one can do 100-watt output, and it's got a little screen when I turn it on, and yeah, kind of interesting. But anyways, yeah, make sure you voltage match them before you forget. Okay, and so I've done the tops as well as the bottoms that are flipped over so you can't see them. I'm going to be using some 0.1 millimeter thick nickel and some 0.1 thickness copper. And I'm going to attempt to do something that I saw online called a copper sandwich. Like I said, I haven't tried this before, so I'm just going by what I've seen on the internet, and it seemed like it works pretty good. There's some e-bike forums, and people seem to really like this method, so it's much superior to just using nickel. And I think the only downside with the method is you gotta have some copper. Sheets, sure, a little more expensive, but I think you need to really have a K-weld to pull this off. So if you're just soldering, I'd probably just use nickel, or just actually solder the, you know, copper wires or something. And then I'm gonna, you know, mangle a spare balance lead I got here, and then we're gonna top it off with an XT60 connector. Wish me luck. Okay, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm cutting my copper into a size to where I can bridge 6 at a time, 3 positives and 3 negatives, right? Because it's a 6S, 3 parallel, right? So this is one series, or one parallel of the series, right? That's second one, third one, right? We're going to go one at a time. And so I'm going to lay the copper down, and supposedly the way this works is it's almost impossible to just weld a copper with these things, but if you put these little nickel tabs over the tops of the cells and then you weld the actual nickel and the copper ends up just sandwiched, you can get a solid weld. And copper is approximately 5 times better as a material than nickel for the purposes of a battery, so this is a much better method than doing the nickel strips on their own. So that's the theory anyways. And I've read that I need to run the K-weld at 75 joules minimum. I have no idea what that actually means in real life, so I'm just gonna give it a go. Pretty solid. It's about as good as I've seen on the internet. I'm on the internet. That one was maybe not quite so good for some reason. I'm not sure if that's like because of contamination. It looks like the one electrode welded fine and this one kind of did not. I'm not sure if it's because I was on the edge of the copper. It was probably a rookie mistake. That was better. Gotta say, that actually is pretty good, I think. Let's see. My battery's off. Ooh, go to battery escaping. Okay, so even though I'm terrible at this, I mean, that is bonded. Pretty nice, actually. Okay, so I figured it out. So what I was doing wrong on the first one versus the, so here's my most recent one. Again, I'm sure this stupid thing's never gonna focus, but that's pretty nice. This is flawless. This one's not too bad. That one's okay. This one sucks. I'm probably gonna put another copper or nickel plate over that one. But you want to have super firm pressure. Again, I'm just doing the 75. I'm not cleaning anything or using flux, but I'm really happy with that. If I can get these for the rest of it, this is super nice. Ah, check that out. I got this down. Second, this is perfect. I've seen the factory do worse than this. So first pack, bit of a mess on that row. This row is pretty good. This one is beautiful. I'm sure this will be great too. So look at that. One afternoon and then I can make infinite battery packs. So the cables and the electrodes got so hot I actually couldn't hold them anymore. My fingers kind of hurt, but anyways, so I'll wait for them to cool down and then I'll finish the bottom. But I was curious, so these, I had only charged these to I think 3.95 volts for the both of them. And I just checked the voltage and they're about 3.82. So it doesn't actually use that much power. It just, I mean, I think this thing is actually pulling 1800 amps. So crazy amount of heat being generated here. Pretty interesting device. Very cool. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this. I'm gonna take some nickel strips and maybe cross the ends on these ones, and then on the first pack that I did before I started using the longer ones, I'll probably just put some long ones on. And then obviously I'm a complete idiot and got ahead of myself, so now I get to literally eat my own words and 3D print some spacers for the top. I'll just use the bottom one. Okay, and so I've got that side done, boxed up. It's actually very sturdy now that the end is boxed there. Let's see, I got the little spacers in there. So I'll hot glue around that guy, and then we'll solder up the balance wires and the XT60 connector, and I'll have myself a field pack. All right, so I'm gonna put on my positive negative leads. I'm not gonna get too technical here. If you guys don't know how to solder, this is definitely not the video for you. But I will say that you should probably pre-flux your battery lead, put the solder on the end, and then put your iron as hot as it'll go, flux wherever you're gonna, wherever you're gonna go, and hit and run as quick as you can, because that was the whole reason we were doing the battery welder, right? Is to not heat up the cell top. So you want to be as fast as humanly possible here. So I probably will fare better than people doing just the normal nickel strips, because here we go. I got these nice heat sinks. So another advantage of the copper sandwich and the multiple layers of nickel. So. $22.12. I'm never gonna finish these Warhammers because I think they look good in the background, Oh my god. Something. Look at that. That's pretty good. Here goes nothing. So nothing has exploded yet. Let's try to do a balance. Maybe just storage. We'll do storage. Half an amp. My plan this entire time has been if something explodes in fire, I'm gonna throw it out my window. I got my oil pan ready. That looks extremely promising. And only one cell even was sort of out of balance, actually. The rest of them were very good. I mean, this one's still very good, but... I'm very happy with that. So, now that I've proven that it works, I'll shrink wrap it in fiberglass tape. Maybe I'll put some sort of foam on it. Haven't decided yet. But anyways, I'm basically gonna do it. If you guys got a couple hours and you got a K-weld, that wasn't too bad. For my first time, my second pack will be even better, I imagine. So I'd say that the number one thing was have lots of pressure with the K-weld, because every time I had those bad welds, it was actually because I wasn't pushing hard enough and there was an air gap between the nickel or the copper. And then other than that, yeah, make sure you put your your battery toppers on before you put your metal strips on, and you'll be golden. But if you remember those, and then just be careful. You'll notice I taped off most of the sections the majority of the time until the very end when I needed to have them uncovered. And actually, when I was looking at this footage, I did see one time where I set a tool, or it wasn't even a tool, it was a wire. I set a wire end on top. It was taped, but that's why you tape it, so you don't get carried away. So I would say just tape it up, take your time. I mean, this is a pretty big pack, 18 cells, and I think, and it was my first time doing this, and I would say start to finish, probably without breaks, probably took me 4 hours. I bet my second pack will be 2 of the same size. So once you know what you're doing, I don't think it's that bad. Okay, so what I ended up doing is doing my high temp hot glue. This is like stupid hot, very strong. I use it for all my RC stuff. Filled in all the cracks, right, because I failed. I'm gonna go through, hit the bottom. And then on the top, yeah, I was gonna solder that one again. And then on the top, I hit all of the connectors with liquid tape and stuck some hot glue dabs to hold it, zip tie here, and then I'm using, it's not exactly foam, but the 3M VHB tape, adhesive tape, actually works pretty good here on the edges. And I know it's not gonna go anywhere because this stuff lasts forever. I might actually double this up and do a double layer. Actually, I will. Yeah, I'm gonna do a double layer just on this edge because I don't like the edge there. And then when I'm done with that, I'll probably wrap it in, I got some Kapton tape somewhere up here. I don't know. I'm gonna wrap it in Kapton and then fiberglass tape. And then, if I even feel like it, I got a giant thing of heat shrink. I don't even know if I care enough to do that, because this thing's gonna have so much wrapping on it between the Kapton, the fiberglass, and I'm already insulating everything individually just to be safe, so. In addition to all the hot glue, this thing's super solid, so. Very solid now. Okay, here is the battery. It's all glued up, Kapton tape, triple wrapped. I got the 3M strips underneath the edges here and here. Liquid tape. We got lots of redundancy. I zip tied these guys. Super sturdy. Let's see what it weighs. That is a chunker, 1383. I'll probably do some fiberglass tape or some heat shrink on the end and call it a day.